It is a bug deck that has pretty much survived because of Jerry's first place finish.
And on your right, you see Samuel Braatz, who is playing Blue-Red Wizards, since that's not an archetype I expect many of you at home to be familiar with. I'm just going to rattle off some of the cards here. He has a Grim Lavamancer, 3 Curse Catchers, 4 Deathrite Shaman, 4 Dark Confidant, 3 Spellslayer Sprite, 4 Patron Wizard, 2 Magus of the Moon, and 2 Vendilion Collector.
I love Patron Wizard.
So if we're talking about, you know, that spectrum of decks,
do we get Patron Wizard?
We have the busted decks, the forcible decks fighting the busted decks, and then the regular decks fighting the forcible decks. This one is solidly and can't beat.
Yeah.
Almost every card in this deck is very good against combo decks. He even has a main deck Divert to go along with 2 times the forcible. So.
There he is, my boy here. This is one of my favorite cards. When I first started playing Magic, I played the heck out of this card. I played in Tribal Cube. He has Force Stick on himself. He can tap himself the turn he comes into play. And if you notice when Pat was reading off the list, every card in his deck is a wizard. So pretty much turn 1, turn 2, and turn 2, and then turn 3 this gives you 3 different force spikes at will.
Yeah.
It's really cool. I like it. He has a land in there too, I'm sure, that bounces the wizards, right?
Does he have the laboratory? He has no Riptide Laboratory.
Oh,
he has a cavern. He has a couple caverns. He's got a little tribal thing. He's got some caverns.
It hurts my feelings here. I guess you can't really cast Patron Wizard with the colorless land, it being blue, blue, blue. But let's see what he can do. Sam's deck looks like it doesn't want to go turn 1 go, turn 2 go with all these wizards he has.
He has a lot of very inexpensive cards.
Well, we'll see what happens here. Again, Andrew playing a Baleful Strix, not the scariest card in the world. Let's see if Mr. Tarmogoyf joins the party here, which I think it will.
And if you're in Andrew's seat right now, you have to expect that you're playing against some sort of busted combo deck, right? Like This is an opening that suggests. I mean, best case scenario, you're looking at something like Esper Blade, but Reanimator, Storm, these decks are definitely on your radar right now. And little does Andrew know that none of that has nothing to do with anything that's going on.
We're about to see a Spellslayer Sprite counter whatever 1-mana spell Andrew's about to play. It's going to be real exciting. Unless it's suspending Ancestral Visions, then I'm going to be real sad because that's not exciting.
Yeah, if he's a Death right here, or if he's casting, I don't know, Ponders in his deck.
Brainstorm maybe.
It looks like we're suspending an Ancestral.
No! At least that Sprite can counter Ancestral. That's probably one of the better counter spells for that. Alright, so end attorney's thinking. I think he's going to play a Spellslayer Sprite because he probably has another one. He also has
you can see a
Patron
slight
Wizard.
pause there from Andrew. Okay, that was probably not what I expected him to play at the end.
No, not exactly the card we were looking for. Yeah, I think it might be a Vendilion Clear. I can't really see. I know he has a Patron Wizard in hand. Let's see what he's doing for 1 here. Deathrite Shaman. Is that a wizard?
I believe it
is. I don't know. It's an Elf Shaman?
Okay.
That's not a wizard. That's like playing Slivers and playing a Tarmogoyf.
Boo.
Boo, Sam. Boo. Alright, we'll let this one slide. The turn 3 Deathrite not exactly the best. Looks like, again, Sam's got a few land in his hand. I see another Spellslayer Sprite.
He's passing the turn here.
Luckily, that Tarmogoyf is simply a 1/2.
We see an Abrupt Decay drawn from Andrew, which I can only assume is excellent against.
Right, here comes Shardless Agent, and he is going to flip into a Tarmogoyf, which will be Spellslayer Sprite here.
Yeah, I assume that's gonna be good enough to be worthy of a Spellslayer Sprite.
Yeah, I mean the Goyfs are 1/2s now, but we all know that's very temporary. Legacy is a format where Goyf has shined. I'm sure you remember Goyf in Standard. He wasn't exactly the scariest thing in the world.
Well, fetch lands are the big. That's the big game changer there.
Right, yeah.
In regular Standard, it's generally speaking fairly hard to get a land in your graveyard. In Legacy and Modern, it's a free roll, which is a huge part of its power level.
Yeah, it definitely makes Deathrite Shaman a lot better also.
Cheap cantrips influence it as well.
Alright, so he has now put his Tarmogoyf in the graveyard, which has made his other Tarmogoyf bigger. Now it's a 2/3. I think we're going to see Andrew attack with both creatures because that artifact will pump up the Goyf even more when he blocks, if he does block the Spellslayer Sprite. Does not attack with Tarmogoyf. I guess he doesn't want it triple blocked, and that's reasonable.
Yeah, I can see from Andrew's perspective feeling long term that your Tarmogoyf has way too much value to give up here by
Sam has
trading
to take
it with
this too.
Trading it with those dum-dums.
Yeah, the silly flyers here. Alright, so We draw here, it'll say a white border brainstorm. I see a Venser.
Yep. Vents are pretty sweet against Ancestral Visions.
Very good against it, yes. There's a bunch of sweet wizards you can play. Venser, and Teferi is a wizard, a very nice one. I'm sure he's a little pricey for the Legacy format, but definitely wouldn't be a nice little throwback.
I'm a little disappointed by the absence of Mutable from Samuel's.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, it's a free 4-spike land.
Free 4-spike land, free Spell Stutter Sprite booster.
Samuel's going to brainstorm here. Finds a Jace, a land, and another Deathrite Shaman.
Jace, arguably the best wizard.
Yes.
Elevated to Planeswalker status. He has the mana to cast it also, with the fetch land and yard, with the land that is. Did he play his land for turn?
He had not, but I kind of like this. He almost certainly has to unsummon Tarmogoyf if you were to play Jace, and then you risk Jace just getting attacked down. Or you're forced to double block a Charlotte's Agent, which is not great either. I think he wants to have his defenses set up a little bit better before he sticks that Jace, which I can get behind.
So we're going to have a situation here. The Ancestral Vision, Sam definitely does not want that to resolve. I actually like, at some point, Jace bouncing my Spell Stutter Sprite in order to counter the Ancestral Vision.
Yep.
If you don't have an answer up until that point. So we're going to flip here. He has Abrupt Decay also.
So it's Force of Will, some lands, and now a Brainstorm.
Definitely one of the weaker cards that he can hit. Visions is a disaster. Creature, like another Tarmogoyf or Strix, probably a little bit better than the Storm. Because I think Andrew's spells, he has 2 spells in his hand that he wants to keep. So he does draw Jace here, which he cannot cast this turn. And thanks to the new Legend rule, we're probably going to see Jace versus Jace here.
I have not seen Dueling Jaces yet. This will be the first time for me.
I learned that it's a huge benefit for Stoneblade. I had a Jace out against Charlotte's Bug that had a Jace out as well. And I actually have Lingering Souls to kill his, and they really don't have a way to kill mine. It's kind of worked out pretty well for me. All those creatures that they have are quite blockable.
So you see Andrew sent across his Tarmogoyf, Baleful Strix, and Charlotte's Agent.
So looks like we're fetching here a response.
Maybe we're moving that creature from Andrew's graveyard with our Deathrite Shaman, building it at a tropical island.
You flew by it, you looked at it for a minute. Kind of like getting a Trop Island here. Do you need 3 black lands?
Well, if he's using Deathrite this turn to remove a spell from the graveyard.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I'd rather gain a little life than race at this point with my Spell Stutter Sprites versus quite the large army here.
Yep, it appears he is... Oh, he's clicking inside of combat. Okay.
If we saw that click, we would pretty much guess that too. So he's choosing Andrew's hand. Most certainly will take Jace here. I just don't take anything else in this. I mean, people think they can beat Jace, and they're usually wrong. So I would definitely like taking the more powerful card. There are arguments of taking removal here, because obviously Andrew has no flyers besides the Baleful Strix. You could argue taking the Charlotte's Agent because that could result in something bad. But Jace is obviously much more dangerous than the other 2 cards are.
So this is an indicator here from Andrew cracking his fetch land, so he wants to use his Abrupt Decay right now.
Right.
Which makes some amount of sense. He doesn't want to give Samuel the option of leaving taking the Abrupt Decay if that's actually the card he cares most about.
Right. And that's also going to... nope, Tarmogoyf stays the same size, 3/4. Land, creature, instant. Land, creature, instant. 3/4. Alright, so tag the Jace. Move on with your life. Trust me, Sam, you'll be a much happier man. It's much better to have Jace gone when you have Jace too. Even though you can both coexist, I'd rather have one and you not have one. It's definitely a much more suitable position. So blocking here, I think you block the kill. I'd probably block Deathrite and a Spellstar Sprite onto the Shardless Agent.
Just taking everything.
I like to clear the board up a little bit when I have a Jace coming out. You're going to have less chances to actually remove creatures, I think, tapping all your mana this turn. But we'll see what he does here. Also, you want to clear the board as much as possible because we're going to be going into this point where Jace is going to be brainstorming, you're going to be drawing cards, you're going to be able to replace creatures you lost with your other cheap creatures that you have in your deck, and then eventually you're going to want to be able to just counter that Ancestral Vision pretty much with the board empty.
Yeah, definitely once Jace is your game plan, the more stable the board, the better off you generally are.
Right, you want Jace likes to be all by himself. So he plays his land first. I think I would have held it, just because we're going to brainstorm this turn, I'm sure, with Jace.
You know, it's actually a potentially huge draw for Samuel now that Abrupt Decay is no longer in play is Patron Wizard. If he sets up Jace plus Patron Wizard, he can actually. I think he's planning on venturing this turn.
I don't think this is correct. I think he's going to have a huge problem now because Venser was the key to stopping that Visions. You gave Andrew a chance to draw something. If Andrew draws Force of Will here and stops Samuel's Jace, this board just went from Samuel probably being able to dominate with the Planeswalker to, back to square one for him.
Sure. Andrew finds a Hymn and a Dismember and a Force of Will, looks like, but I don't think he has another. He has a Shardless Agent, so.
And you can't even imagine Sam waiting because of fear of a counterspell, because he saw his hand with Click. He might have ripped the Force of Will off the top card, but chances of that are very small. And if he knows Shardless Bug lists, he knows that the Force of Will count is at 2. I've never seen it more or less in these varying lists here.
Well, this Hymn is likely to be pretty good. Or sorry, this Venser is likely to be pretty good here because he can't actually recast it.
Right. But now he's forced to use the Hymn here, forced to use the Venser here, which now leaves him in a precarious situation with the Ancestral Vision. He's going to have to bounce the Spellstar Sprite to counter it. Hopefully he sees that line to play here. Luckily, after he does that, the Hymn is going to be worthless because that will leave Sam pretty much with 0 cards in his hand anyway. Oh, he actually can just bounce Spellstar Sprite and counter it.
Yeah, or bounce the Hymn if he doesn't particularly care about it because Andrew can't recast this turn.
Probably be better just to counter it the hard way, right?
It just depends if he wants to use his Deathrite Shamans for other things.
Right.
That ties both of them up. Okay, he's gonna do the line you suggested.
Yeah, he's gonna have 1 Deathrite available, but definitely he can't do much because he don't have the mana to use it.
And then he's gonna Spellstar Sprite, the Hymn. So this is actually a fairly solid turn for Samuel here. It's Andrew basically spent all of his mana awkwardly spinning his wheels and not really developing his board.
Right.
He can make some trades in combat if he's feeling so inclined. And then, again, he gets to play Jace on an empty board. Whether or not that's going to be able to beat Ancestral and the stuff that's going to come off of this is a different question. But this turn was, I would be willing to suspect this was not the set of cards that Andrew was expecting to have played in response to this Hymn to Torak.
Yeah, definitely not. Easy rule of thumb, and if Sam watches this coverage, pretty much it's you play Jace when you draw it, especially when you're relatively sure it'll resolve. It's just a card that the longer it's in play, the farther the game goes away from losing. It's almost impossible to lose after brainstorming a couple times. I can't even imagine my loss record after using Jace 3 times. It's pretty low.
So I think there's a judge call right now because the last card in Andrew's hand is Dismember. It's possible that he wanted to respond to that Venser trigger by killing the Spellstar Sprite. That appears to be so it appears they're allowing him to back up and kill the Spellstar Sprite in response to the Venser trigger.
Well, this is a disaster.
Now this has gotten quite bad for Samuel.
Yeah, it's no reason that Jay shouldn't be in play right now. And I think not only is that a horrible turn for Sam, it went from kind of a 90% his favor to to the other side having 90%. That Tarmogoyf is huge. The Visions will resolve more than likely unless Sam rips an answer for it. And he has a Shardless Agent, even if the Vision doesn't resolve. If Sam somehow draws another Spellstar Spread or Counterspell, he's still going to draw a million cards here. And this is just an avalanche of damage. I think it could have been prevented, but we'll see how this turns out.
So, making some blocks here, some trades.
Dwarf will become a 6/7 now from the artifact that hits the graveyard. We're missing Tribal. Got everything else.
So let's see if Samuel can find.
And Curse Catcher.
Not one of his biggest draws.
No, not one of the most potent creatures that you can draw. So Vision's going to resolve. It's going to get really, really, really bad. It's a sinking feeling when this happens, when you're on the other end of Visions resolving.
Creeping Tar Pit picked up for Andrew.
Force of Will, Creeping Tar Pit, and then the rest are spells. It's going to be interesting here.
And that Goyf is so huge. And Samuel's deck is not really that well set up to defeat a large Goyf once it is in play. He has Jace, he has one copy main deck of Jit, which could give him a little bit of legs here, but overall it's going to be tough. We essentially miss, Andrew essentially misses here with his Stardust Legion, flipping over him to Torak. Samuel has no cards in hand, so.
Right, you definitely cast it to get it out of your deck. You don't want to shuffle that back on top, so. And here comes Boys. We have some chump block situations happening here. Looks like we're probably going to be going to game 2, barring some miracle. See, I like these double blocks before, and I think if you're going to end up doing it anyway, you're going to kill those creatures anyway, and there's no reason to take damage in Legacy, especially unnecessarily.
So we're going to use Samuel over here is going to use his 2 Deathrite Shamans to remove a couple of instants or sorceries from Andrew's graveyard on the way out, deal some damage. Deathrite and a Creeping Tar Pit to follow up all of Andrew's pressure.
So he draws just right to the scooping area here.
So Samuel's deck has a Haymaker in this matchup. We didn't see it in that game, but he has 2 main deck copies of Magus of the Moon and a 3rd copy in his sideboard. Yeah. I would strongly suspect the 3rd one's going to come in, and that could be a huge part of his game plan for this.
That is a nightmare card for Bug. Can't cast anything. Your basically deck is shut off.
He has 1 copy of Dismember, basically, to get out of that if that comes up.
Right, and 0 basic lands like the usual decks have. His sideboard is very standard. He caps off his Baleful Strix. There is 2 copies of Arcane Laboratory, though. Not useful in this matchup, but it's an interesting card. He has Force of Will, not the greatest against this deck either. I assume maybe one of the Force of Wills might come out. Notion Thief will definitely come in because his opponent has Jason Mind Sculptor, and that's just what you do. He has a copy of Life from the Loam. Also not the greatest card because that's really for those control decks that have a lot of non-basics that you're trying to wasteland them out. And he has Massacre. Massacre seems decent. Sadly, you're not going to get the cheap cost of Massacre. What do you think? It kills everything. It is a hard wrath against his opponent.
Yeah, I think it's hard to pull the trigger on Massacre. I think just because of the mana cost and
it's so good.
These, oh yeah, no, yeah. I totally am sympathetic. But you see these blue decks, and there's always this plethora of Dazes and Pierces and stuff. Not that Samuel has all that kind of stuff, but it's just I'm always hard pressed to bring in, or feel hard pressed to bring in those kind of 4 mana answers to what's going on. Though you're right, the upside might be so huge because there's actually nothing in here that survives it.
Yeah, and he has Deathrite Shaman, so you can actually kind of get the 4 mana thing going. Obviously, it's Massacre's not in here for this deck. It just happens to might have fallen in his lap here. Besides the Massacre, if you look at this list, he really has nothing to bring in. Baleful Strix is kind of okay. Flusterstorm, I definitely will bring the Notion Thief in and a couple Massacres. But the good news is he really doesn't have much to board out though. He has 2 Force of Will to board out, and maybe the Liliana. I'm not sure what other. There's not much else in terms of bad cards that he has.
I actually like Baleful Strix quite a bit in this kind of matchup. I think Andrew's deck is fundamentally a creature deck that's about attacking and blocking and doesn't kill particularly quickly. And in those matchups, Baleful Strix is pretty powerful. The only times where it's a liability is where, you know, one part of the buffalo doesn't get used, you know, either the game's not about attacking or blocking, or that the opposing deck is all evasion or island walk or whatever. But I think if the opposing deck has creatures and has to get engaged in combat to do its thing, Baleful Strix is a pretty productive card.
Yeah, then we look at the issue of boarding out cards. I see in his list, I see a Liliana that comes out, not very good, and then 2 Force of Will. So you have 3 cards to board out, and you definitely to bring the Notion Thief in. I think the Massacres are pretty good. So I don't know, what can we shave here to bring in the Baleful Strixer if someone wants to play this at home?
Against a pretty aggressive deck with aggressive elements and Spellstar Sprite, I would probably cut Hymns. They're not great top decks in a lot of spots.
Cursecaster gets it too.
Playing sorceries, you know, against a deck with Spellstar Sprite is not the best. And the fact that Samuel's deck is also on the lower end of things, all this I think would lead me to cutting him.
Right, I think I'd rather have Ancestral Vision. I'm going to risk any kind of sorcery, cheap card that gets Spellstar Sprite. I'd rather draw 3 cards and have the discard too.
So Samuel's opening has Deathray and also has a fetch land and what appears to be a fetch land and a Magus of the Moon for the second turn. So this game could end actually very quickly.
Right, this is a situation where if Andrew doesn't have Force of Will, which pretty much
reasonable that he cut
they cut it. I mean, if once I see Blood Moon, I bring it right back in. But if that card resolves, I don't see Andrew ever winning this game.
I don't.
His Ancestral Vision turn 1. I think he has 3 Ancestral Visions.
Yeah.
That 2 more on the left there, I think.
Yeah, Goy.
Yeah. He's got a vision that's going to. Sam is just probably itching. He is ready to play
I would
this
not.
card.
I can't. If I was Samuel, I'd be so excited to untap here.
If he does not play this Magus of the Moon, I will be very surprised. Fetch an island, of course. Don't think that's what I would do.
Oh, he wants to push it through Force of Will. I mean, obviously, there's a risk that you won't have blue mana.
Yeah, you're right.
This might be.
I like it. I like it. It's definitely better. You're right.
Yeah. There's risk in different places.
And I actually didn't even notice the fetch land on Andrew's side. Yeah. So I was like, is he attacking for 1 now after playing the Cavern? Good. I'm glad that there's a land in the yard. Yeah, Sam knows how good his card is. He plays it for a reason. He knows that the Caverns is going to lock it in. I think he has a Lightning Bolt in his hand too.
Yeah.
So Sam is pretty much just going to attack for 3 about 7 times to kill him. I mean,
Andrew Tenjum, you've been mooned.
Yeah, I don't know what he can possibly play.
He has 1 Dismember. That's his way to break out of this.
Yeah, and that's. I can see in 3 turns we'll see if he has his Dismember here.
I think it's actually in his hand right now.
Is it?
Yeah, I think it's 3rd from the right. Yeah, he has it.
Oh man.
No freebies. No freebies
no
for Samuel.
No free win for you.
No free lunches.
Oh wow. You should definitely wait till the end of his turn. I know Sam has counter magic, but don't kill it. Don't let him use all of his mana. Yeah. Definitely wait, Andrew.
Andrew's gonna.
Yeah, he's gonna do it now. He's gonna want to spend another Ancestral Vision.
Andrew decides that he wants to cast spells this game, so he goes ahead and
right, yeah, he decides to. He says it's in his best interest to cast magic cards and besides land here. So he did it. The reason why I did main phase is this play a second Ancestral Vision, which I can't really fault him for, but I kind of like keeping Sam off of any spells for his whole turn. And here's the reason: you have 3 Ancestral Visions in your hand. You're going to draw all 3 cards in 3 turns anyway. I think drawing 6 more 2 turns later is not too bad either.
Well, he may not know for sure that shuts off Samuel's hand.
Yeah, I guess he could have 1 island, but there's not really any counter magic that Sam wouldn't already have, like Force of Will. I don't know what he could possibly have to stop it with blue.
So you see a Dark Confidant, perhaps freshly acquired from someone's Modern Master booster.
Yeah, he could have cast it. He couldn't have cast that without the Magus gone, because Caverns obviously is a mountain. That's another reason why I was a huge fan of waiting. Andrew would have been, I think, in a slightly better position. I don't know, Pat. It's just I'm a big fan of instants at instant speed. I like to cast my things swiftly and abruptly.
Yeah, it's a hard balancing act because it's hard to know exactly how much of Samuel's hand is shut off from that Magus of the Moon. Andrew saw a lot of basic islands in the first game, at least 2 or 3. So
he also saw underground islands. So you have to assume that Sam's deck has maybe 4 red cards in it total.
It's hard to get a solid read, but I can understand being on Andrew's side of things. Don't get too fancy. You cannot win the game if that Magus of the Moon is in play. So cut off the opportunity for your opponent to draw a Force of Will or whatever, because otherwise the game basically just ends.
Yeah.
Baleful Strix for Andrew. Draws a Hymn.
I don't think you Wasteland here, because he has no additional land, and he's going to go with that fellow here.
I think it's really rough to Wasteland for a couple reasons. One is, you know, Samuel has more mana and can operate with less mana total. And secondly, with the Ancestral suspended, you need mana to efficiently deploy all the cards that you're drawing. So I would be loath to trade mana for mana if I was in Andrew's spot.
Sam also has Deathrite Shaman, so he has access to all colors. It's not like he can color hose Sam at any point.
Triggers Confidant, reveals Misty Rainforest. Draws another Magus of the Moon. This might actually be the lock. Now with that one Dismember out of the deck.
This will probably be the ball game, unless Dark Confidant kills Sam. Does 19 damage to him. 18 damage to him now.
I assume Samuel is going to go and get a basic island with this fetch land.
Right.
And he does, yeah. So he's going to be able to play Magus of the Moon through the cavern. He's going to have red mana for the reds. Obviously, all of his non-basics become mountains. He can cast all of his lightning bolts and whatnot. He has a basic island to cast his blue stuff. Deathrite to fill in the gaps. And again, Andrew is, I believe he is not allowed to cast spells for the remainder of this game once this Magus resolves. So
yep, this is
it's going to be a tough row to hoe.
I think we're targeting Sam with our Ancestral Visions. Maybe we can deck him. I don't know. There's not much else we can do here. There is an answer for Andrew in a different world here. If he actually has a turn 1 Deathrite Shaman, he can play spells through Magus of the Moon, let's say for game 3, barring Sam not having a Lightning Bolt, of course. So that's bad if that's the best you can hope for. Your 1 Dismember or your Deathrite Shaman's in play, active. Probably need multiple of them to be able to cast your blue-black, your black-green, your blue-blue spells.
Yep. There is.
We have a Creeping Tar Pit. Assuming we have a coming to play Tap Mountain.
Unless Andrew's deck suddenly becomes all ball lightnings and whatnot, I think it's going to be very challenging for him to win this game.
Yeah,
reveals Brainstorm.
At this point, unless Andrew just wants to see more of his deck, I wouldn't be against conceding here. I know that there's absolutely no way to win at this point.
I think the issue with conceding here is that you reveal to Samuel that you can't get out of this. I think if nothing else, you need to keep up appearances that you have another out, you have a basic land somewhere. That's the risk of conceding.
You think it's going to change his play if Sam beats him with his Magus? I don't see him like... He actually played a Cavern of Souls to get a basic land just to make sure it resolved, and now he's going to beat him this way. So I don't think Andrews or Sam's going to be tricked in any way to say, oh, this is actually not that good against him. He might have an answer.
Oh, I don't know if he's definitely not going to remove them from his deck, but he might play differently, evaluate opening hands differently. And again,
I just don't like torture, I guess. In Andrew's situation, I'd be getting tortured.
I buy that. No, that makes some sense.
I'm like, oh, just kill me now. I just want to go to the next game.
Yeah, that's those are some green and black spells.
Those are spells that can't be able to cast.
That's a mountain.
Andrew's got the eye of the tiger like you. He's a professional. He wants to.
Oh, no, I would have conceded this game ages ago, too. I'm just saying, if you're actually trying to win the tournament, I think there is some value in keeping up appearances that you can get out of this spot.
Yeah, I understand.
And also, to be quite honest, Samuel's played a lot of weird cards. Like, for example, how much upside is that worth? He just saw the Solar Temptation.
Right, yeah.
Is cited in.
That's what I said. Yeah, he can stay in the game to see more cards. That's the only thing I can think of. Because obviously Sam's playing this rogue, crazy deck. And Solar's actually really, really good against Charlotte's Bug. Abrupt Decay can't touch it. You take a Tarmogoyf that way, it's going to get pretty rough. How many answers we got? One Maelstrom Pulse, 1 Dismember, and I guarantee that Dismember has 1 name written on it, and that's Magus of the Moon here.
That's a mountain. That's a mountain. And that's a blue spell.
Yep. He's going to draw his card for turn. He's going to show that, hey, I got...
Yep.
Oh, I didn't draw my...
Whatever. Whatever it was supposed to be, it wasn't there.
I didn't draw my upheaval.
But by continuing to play there, you know, if nothing else, Samuel might respect the possibility of a second dismember.
Right.
There's small things there.
There's definitely merit to it. I just can't, like, that's why I'm not a big fan of Guantanamo Bay, is I just don't want to be in there and getting tortured.
Yeah, no, I respect definitely.
I'd rather escape.
I have conceded plenty of games where, you know, I was not 100% dead because I like to spend as much time of the minutes and hours that I spend playing Magic.
Right.
I like to spend the highest percentage of the time winning or feeling like I'm close to it. So I can't handle those kind of games.
Yeah, just sitting around for 30 minutes while you get drowned yard is just not my idea of a fun time, I guess. In this situation, I've played Tron before where I've had Blood Moon resolved against me and they've already blown up 2 of my Azorius Signets. I'm like, all right, well, I'm just going to go ahead and move on with my life.
I played in an extended Grand Prix where my opponent went turn 1 Noble Hierarch. I went turn 1 Tattermunge Maniac. My opponent went turn 2 Kitchen Finks, and I conceded. Yep, I have been defeated. Good enough.
Good day, sir.
Good enough.
Well
you
done.
win.
Well done. Nice green cards.
So I can totally respect the fast concession, but Andrew did at least pick up some valuable information that there's a Sower of Temptation in Samuel's deck. You got to see a couple more cards, and Samuel again has to respect the possibility that there's something beyond that one dismember that can kill the Magus of the Moon.
Right. Well, I think we're going to have a good game 3. Samuel, after board, obviously is pretty stoked about his chances when he has Magus of the Moon, saw how good it is against Bug. I have said for ages that I am so glad that Choke and Blood Moon and Magus Moon aren't played because those cards are not fun to play against. They're not just good against the control decks, they're auto wins sometimes against control decks.
I mean, there's a lot of cards in Legacy that have that influence on certain games. Against Esper Blade, it's less the case because the deck's pretty robust and diverse in the things that it can do and answer.
Right.
But, you know, I've lost plenty of games to White Leyline. I've seen Ensnaring Bridge lock people out of games.
Right, yeah.
Blood Moon effects. There's some cards that are just random hard locks against a swath of the field. They are part of the texture of the games that get played, but they aren't necessarily fun to have happen all the time.
Right. For the record, Choke beats Stoneblade pretty handily. That is a nightmare. I used to play one Glacial Fortress just for spice.
I've seen some people play Glacial Fortress or Mystic Gate or something along those lines to try to hedge a little bit against Choke.
Right, yeah. All right, well, Sam is on the draw, and we have a Blood Moon proof Deathrite Shaman.
So we have a Divert drawn by Samuel here, which can be awesome if matching Deathrite. So I was going to say if he holds it up to try to tag that him.
Do you have to wait here if you board in Divert, right? I mean, no?
I think it's okay to play your Deathrite.
I hope so. I'm about to find out. I guess Divert's pretty good against Abrupt Decay as well.
Yeah.
Usually when they Abrupt Decay, they have the 2 open to stop the Divert, but we'll see. Then again, of course, Divert's one of those cards that's pretty tough to play against. Oh, and we're about to see.
Boy.
This is going to be exciting.
Oh boy.
Oh no. He is going. If
just
he has,
pass the turn,
please
baby.
play a land or pass the turn.
Just pass the turn.
Don't do it. No.
Oh well.
Oh no. What is that?
The foil Dark Confidant.
Oh, Samuel.
It's okay. I get it why it happened. You know, it's probably way better overall to play the Dark Confidant than try to hold up Divert in the hopes that there's an Abrupt Decay or a hand waiting.
Oh, we're not. Oh no. We have
We're back live.
Why did Andrew not Abrupt Decay that? I have no idea, but we're about to find out. Drew a fetch land.
Oh, he has Massacre in his hand, that's why.
Oh, that fetch land is going to be money if he... Oh, actually, the Master's going to just block him here.
He's trying to get max value out of the Massacre he's brought in.
He's about to. Unless Master says target player. Uh-oh. What does Massacre say? Help Star City Games. Is it target player or creature's target player controls get -2/-2?
Andrew debating on his on his
If it
play
does,
here. The problem is that
he's
you
gonna
know
use the
Samuel has his own death right active, so he can't actually make mana off it.
Well, he's going to use the fetch land, right?
Okay.
And then who has?
It's symmetrical.
Yeah, he's not going to have opportunity to do it. Actually, with a trigger on the stack, he could have tried, but then he would have used his in response.
Yeah, there's no way.
No way you can do it. Never mind. This is a terror player, though. All creatures get -2. All creatures. Never mind. So it's his included.
Yes.
So it kills.
It's only asking for the opponent to have
a plains.
plains. Yeah.
All right. So Massacre is going to kill everything in play. I don't know if that's what Andrew was wanting to do here. He obviously can need also Charlotte's Agent here, see what that hits. Do you wait for Massacre or do you unleash it?
Well, I don't think he can't even necessarily cast it. So this is he's going to target the Misty Rainforest in response.
Doesn't work like that.
Samuel's going to respond and target the land. Presumably make blue, which could also be insane because he might float blue and be able to divert Andrew here.
Right, yeah, this is going to be, Andrew's going to get...
He needs to pull the trigger right now on this.
He's going to lose the Deathrite Shaman Mana War here. And here comes something, and I think it's a Charlotte's
So he
Agent.
might have blue in his pool right now. We can't...
I hope so, he has blue. There's no reason not to have blue, right?
Oh my god.
This is happening. This is happening.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Did he not float blue?
Oh no.
Why?
Oh.
Why, Samuel?
Dark Confidant reveals Vendilion Click.
Alright, I'm good. Alright, so it's okay. We're going to untap here.
I don't know if Samuel has access to red mana. I don't believe he has a fetch land, so he can't bolt right now.
Thinking about his decisions here.
He has to ponder first, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Samuel's going to lead with a ponder.
He needs a fetch land here to be full efficient. Just see land, Magus. None are fetches. I don't know how many fetches Sam has. We've seen a lot of non-fetch lands in this deck.
He has 8 fetches.
Okay. Not too bad. I'm a 10 fetch kind of guy, but I can get by 8. Also, with the Deathrite Shaman deck, I think if I were to play Sam's deck, which seems pretty cool, it's got a lot of different neat little interactions. He's 3-0 also, and I think if a blue floated there, he might be 4-0 right off the bat, but he might be able to dig himself out of this.
I mean, he's got a lot of action too, you know.
Yeah, he's got a full hit. He's got a full grip. This game is far from over.
He's got Patron Wizard too, which again, I mean, he's got
just the no mana, the no third land.
If he can bleed out that Abrupt Decay, that Patron Wizard can actually kind of lock this game up.
Right.
Or has the potential to lock this game up.
Yep. Here comes
across for 2.
Gray Ogre for 2 damage. Charlotte's Agent, a new addition to Legacy relatively compared to the other creatures. You really have to be in an elite company to make the Legacy creature cut.
Oh yeah.
Especially in the generic control decks. It's not like you're Finhorn Elf or something where you have a home. You got to really do some nice stuff. So we're going to see Tarmogoyf here. I'm hoping we see an Abrupt Decay on Dark Confidant. I don't know what Andrew's really waiting for.
I think it's got to be the Massacre, right? That's got to be the only thing that's leading him down this path.
Right, or maybe he really wants to save that Abrupt Decay so he can float the mana to hit Magus. That might be a decent play also. Floating a green into black.
Confidant triggers, reveals Magus.
All right, well, speak of the devil. So did he leave those cards on top? I think he might have stacked it wrong. Yeah, he stacked it wrong to take 3 damage unnecessarily.
So he's going to find a 4th land here, which is valuable because Samuel is a little choked on action. And I think what's actually likely to happen here is Andrew is leaving up that mana to be able to Abrupt Decay a Magus. Yeah, and then we're going to see the Never Heard Around the World.
Right, yeah. Floating the black and the green, yeah.
Yeah.
A few times I've had to float white and 1 to disenchant a choke. Just one of those things where better safe than sorry.
Yeah.
He can cast the Magus here.
I have a hard time assuming that cavern is set. That cavern is set to human, which seems reasonable.
I think it's on wizard. And I think all of his creatures.
All is on wizard.
Yeah, except for Deathrite. Yeah, and he's going to leave island open. I hope. Please leave island open. Because if he doesn't, he cannot. It's clear that he has a broken.
He can float blue in response to Andrew potentially floating green and black.
Right. Yeah.
If Andrew announces, that'll tip off.
He floats green and black. I think it's time to float a blue here.
Let's see if Andrew responds by floating blue.
He does not.
So Andrew's going to be able to get out of that. He might respond with a bolt here to take out the Deathrite or the agent, perhaps.
Does that kill Terminal? If it does, there's no lands in the graveyard.
Yep.
Just sorcery, instant creature now.
Attacks with Confidant. We'll see if Andrew is willing to trade his Deathrite. Yeah, not a lot going on in the graveyard. Pretty easy trade to make there.
Right. If Deathrite's not tapped for mana in this matchup, it seems like both decks really want a lot of land. It's pretty easy to throw him to the bulls there. All right, well, Andrews is sitting on all gas, so everything in his hand is just power. All the Charlotte's agents get cards that are either insane or removal spells. There's really no in between, you know. It looks like he left in the Liliana as well, which is probably going to be his play here then. A lot of people love, self included. When there's one creature out, I'm hard pressed not to play Liliana.
Yep.
Oh, he can set up another Ancestral Recall. He has Ancestral Vision, which he'll put on top of his library, along with maybe a card he doesn't want to draw. He could like put an additional like Charlotte's Agent if you don't want to draw that again.
I think the Massacre is going back.
The Massacre can go back, so you can go in order of Massacre on top and then Visions on bottom.
Although, if you're even as far in the driver's seat as you're feeling here, if you're Andrew, he's still.
Oh, again, he's not putting Visions on top.
Well, he's got to display some amount of caution. He has to display some amount of caution, not getting just beat by Magus again.
Right.
That sculpts everything about his play.
Yeah, I do like not, and you can still put the Vision second from the bottom and then do it next turn. You know, so I still like putting the Vision on, and he's still going to do this anyway. So I guess he'd rather
just adding to his board. I can appreciate this. The issue here is, you know, Andrew's always going to be on the threat of getting locked, and
right,
drawing three cards.
Guys out, yeah.
Yeah, if he draws 3 cards and Samuel just goes, all right, untap Magus, then it doesn't matter that you just drew 3 cards.
He actually has a pretty good answer here. If he wastelands, Death right now has mana. I think does it have mana? No, still no mana. So if he wasteland that caverns, he can't cast the Magus. So I think we definitely play wasteland and wasteland him. There we go.
Yeah.
So now he's shut off from red mana.
I mean, Deathrite's still up and ready.
Oh yeah, he can actually tap it and use the cavern now. But now, if Andrew has Force of Will, which I'm not sure if he does or not, he's in good shape too. He draws a Patron Wizard here. He has another cavern in hand. I see a fistful of blue cards. I see a Brainstorm in the mix there.
So priority 1 has got to be to find another Magus here pronto, because Samuel can't possibly match him card for card.
No, Sam's cards in general are much weaker. Patron Wizard compared to like Tarmogoyf for Charlotte's Agent, which obviously produces ridiculous cards. You're not going to win that long game.
All right, so we're going to lead off with a Brainstorm. He's figuring out if he wants to tap his basic or not. Finds a Magus, which is again a starting point. He's then going to have to find a way to catch up to everything that Andrew has going on, which is not going to be easy. But.
And again, we're at this point of Sam's deck where we don't have any fetch lands, and this Brainstorm is going to just put 2 cards on top that he's not going to ever want to see again. But sadly, he's going to draw them back to back, because in a post-Magus world, your hand relatively should have, you know, some red cards in it. A Bolt, maybe a Grim Lavamancer would be a pretty decent card here. But look at that Tarmogoyf. I don't know what possible answer it's before he plays Magus he can do. He needs a Venturate. I think he might have a Venturate hand or a Sower before he even thinks about playing Magus.
It's a slim set of draws.
Right. Here comes Vendilion Click in combat, which will probably meet Abrupt Decay.
I assuming the way that Andrew's playing this game, he's trying to end things as fast as possible.
Right,
so.
Yeah, he's tired of these little wizard shenanigans, little curse catchers and patron wizards and whatnot. He wants to advance forward. Conceptually, and after seeing kind of the cards, I actually don't mind Sam's deck that much. I actually think it's pretty cool. I think there's a lot of good in there, and I think it shows you the power of a Blood Moon effect that happens to be uncounterable and part of the wizard package.
Yeah, I think that if he had just walked Andrew into that divert earlier in the game, he had a couple spots to do it.
Right, either the Visions or the Abrupt Decay on the Magus, either one would have been. I hate saying game over, but in Magic, when I say game over, I don't mean it's 100%. I just mean it's probably going to end up a victory on his side.
Right. I mean, if that Magus sticks, Samuel has the right to make some mana. He has cards to draw.
And that Abrupt Decay would have killed Andrew's only creature, besides the Charlotte's. It would have killed the Deathrite Shaman in play. It would be Andrew's Charlotte's Agent versus Deathrite Shaman, Dark Confidant, and Magus. Good luck.
Yeah.
And he diverted here, and this is the only point where I wouldn't divert when your opponent has 2 mana open.
I mean, it colds the rest of his turn, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he's worried about it at this point when he's facing down infinite damage here. He's going to go to 2 life. Sam's looking over his options. He's take your pick here.
Yeah, none of these cards matter too much, I guess. Charlotte's Agent, probably the most meaningful among them, but you know, the writing's on the wall here.
Right, yeah, it's rough showing for Sammy. I think he's talking about like, yeah, why not that one?
Here's he's falling to 2.
Misty Rainforest replaces. And we're at the point of death. He can play 2 creatures here and chump with all 3 creatures. Yep. We're in full having a block of all, but we know Andrew has a Liliana in his hand, so he'll play it, eat him, attack him for lethal. That's it.
We're finally going to see Patron Wizard rear his ugly head. Ruiner of casual games everywhere.
Yeah, he's a fun guy. He's a fun dude.
I was actually literally about to say the enemy of fun.
Oh, see, that's so funny. Him and Will Bender are my buddies here. I like those 2 guys.
No, Will Bender's fun.
Yeah, that's
Will Bender's fun. I've lost a ton of Will Benders, so that card's fun.
Right, yeah, I've won and lost a ton of that card. You know, my favorite card in Magic is actually a red card, talking about Will Bender. My favorite card of all time is Hitsugu's Second Right. I played it in Cube Draft. I loved it back in the day when it was in regular draft. I love that card. Locally, I'm sure my friends are laughing if they're listening because they know that Second Right is, you know, my pet card. So.
You see the concession there. Andrew Tenjum moves to 4-0. Again, Samuel, I feel